It's time for Ask the Mayor on KWBE, our Thursday morning visit with Beatrice Mayor Stan Wirth. If you have a question today, call us, 402-228-5923. We'll pass that along. Well, we got the rain we were all hoping for, maybe just not quite enough of it, but it does help.
Sounds like the prospects next week are going to be a little additional rain. So
Yeah.
that's good news, Doug.
Good, needed to recharge things. It's been an awfully dry kind of fire danger type situation, too, for areas. And I don't know. I was trying to remember the last time, other than the inch we had this week. When was the last significant rain? You kind of follow the ag.
We do, and it's been a long time.
Well, this is Severe Weather Awareness Week. Haven't had much of that, but we did last December 15th, so it can happen at any time. And understood from city administrator's report that you did have some damage to a few public properties.
We did, and some insurance is going to assist with that, some not, but we're going to be knee-deep in getting some of those repairs done this year.
Mostly what, roofs or sides of
Mostly
buildings?
roofs. The library was one of them, and there's a couple of other public buildings that had some damage. I think the salt barn had some damage, and just a couple of other places that we're going to get taken care of. We've got a contractor who's on board now to get started as soon as the weather cooperates.
Sounded like there may be, and I don't know how extensive it was, maybe a little bit of park damage or ball field or area.
A little
like
bit,
that.
nothing that obviously the good staff of our public properties department can't take care of.
I see. Looking back at last December 15th when that happened, and it was a quick storm, it came through in about 20 minutes. It was here and gone, but noticed that you had a lot of city departments that played some role for quite a while, at least maybe over a 24-hour period. The response of everyone kind of getting together and kind of doing their job. So what did you think about it back then?
Everybody came together. They know what jobs they have to do. They know that job, if there's going to be some damage, they know that it has to be taken care of. It has to be taken care of right away, especially on the electricity side. There was some poles, I think it was on Monroe Street, that there was some significant damage and power outage to quite a large area. City crews went full force into putting that grid work all back together in not very nice weather at the time. And I think most people were back on board and had electricity within like a 12-hour period of time. So the response was really good. When you take into consideration that poles were just sheared off and had to replace the poles and unhook the wires and reattach them and everything else.
The technology improvements over the years about automated metering and systems like that tends to really help out too, doesn't it? And pinpointing problems more quickly.
You know exactly where it's at, and it's very swift. So they can get to that location where there is an outage or any other issue pretty rapidly.
It's not that you don't want people to report outages, but they almost know of them faster than the call coming in.
That is correct.
So it's kind of a dual role there. You have the technology to diagnose things, but always need to let people know they can call in.
And I think it's necessary for families in this severe weather awareness week to make sure that they have a plan. Because like the folks in New Orleans just this week experienced, it comes up really fast. And it's not like a hurricane that they've experienced numerous times, that they have certainly advance notice, days advance notice. The one gentleman that they interviewed, he said 10 seconds, it was all over.
Yep. Yeah.
And damage was unbelievable.
You remember the, 1996 tornado that came through Beatrice? And I don't remember I was probably out here at the time, but that was a situation where I think there were actually two tornadoes to the northwest of Beatrice, and one of them kind of skipped through town. So as you mentioned, things can come up pretty quickly, and you don't know where the focus of the damage is going to be in a case like that. Kind of skipped across the community. I remember, where Russ's Supermarket is now. There was quite a bit of damage there. So.
Yeah, again, it is something that you can plan as much as you can for these types of events, but when they occur, it's the unknown.
Yeah. Coming up soon, you're getting pretty close to naming a new chief of police to fill in when Chief Bruce Lang retires this June. Kind of going through the interview process there, and have gotten, I was trying to remember, was it 15 applicants to begin with?
We had 15 applicants to begin with, narrowed it down to 4, and came up with 3 finalists. Those 3 finalists will be interviewed. I beg your pardon. We'll probably narrow those 3 finalists down to 2, but of those 3 finalists, if we choose to interview them all, it will be the week of April 11th. And there will be individuals from the public, city council, the chief of police, myself, and city administrator who will interview the candidates. Those that rose to the top is a John Russell Hickman from Glendive, Montana. That's a community of about 5,000. Doug Mulchek, who is one of the captains at the Columbus Police Department, and Sean Milliken, who is from Missouri Valley, Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Was it important to get somebody that was a little bit up the chain as far as in a police department?
Absolutely.
Like at least a lieutenant captain or
Absolutely.
chief level?
You're looking for somebody that is in a position where maybe they're second in command, mm-hmm. and the chief of police isn't going to move anytime soon, and you're getting a little antsy. Good opportunity for them to apply for a different position and elevate their rank and their stature in the law enforcement agencies. And that's what these individuals are trying to do.
Do they come from departments that are kind of similarly organized in terms of, patrol duties, investigations, mm-hmm. communications, mm-hmm. things like that? Yeah,
all come with degrees, mm-hmm. Some with master's degree, double master degrees, and those that are have the experience of managing people. That's really important. Those that have experience with managing emergency communication centers. That's going to be really important because of our exposure in the 911 communication center, where we do communication for Beatrice Gage County. We do it for the city of Crete and for Richardson County. Mm-hmm. That is a big task, and you're going to find other communities are going to be faced with the directive from the state legislature that they're going to have to consolidate or enhance their equipment and their employee base mm-hmm. at their centers. So we may see more of that continuing, where you see that consolidation, so it becomes more and more important that we have somebody that understands those systems and can operate them effectively.
One question before we take a break here. On the selection of a new police chief, is it important, or how important might it be in wanting to get somebody who is, that may be here for a while, and this isn't just kind of a stopping off point mm-hmm. for a job later on, or is that a factor at all?
I think that's a good question, and I think we like to see, I would like to see someone who wants to make a commitment to the community and provide some longevity to that department. We want them engaged in the community. We want them a part of the community. We want them on different boards, if you will. Try to ingrain themselves more into the community, develop those relationships. That makes it really, really important in how the community views the department, and it is really important that the department understands mm-hmm. what the community is looking for.
228-5923 if you have a question for Mayor Stan Wirth. Today we'll be back on our program here in just a moment. We're back on Ask the Mayor today with Beatrice Mayor Stan Wirth. You had the first open house event for the Lincoln Street Corridor project on Monday, just ahead of the city council meeting, and I think right around maybe 50 people or so mm-hmm. attended that at Lincoln Elementary. Just kind of what I assume you were there.
I was.
I went pretty early and then left shortly after, but what was your impression of the meeting itself and just the initial information about that?
And I think it is I thought it was a pretty good turnout for the very first meeting. There will be a subsequent meeting. And what they did was gave those residents along Lincoln Street and the general public the opportunity to kind of design what they would like that street to look like. And also ask the attendees what they like about Lincoln Street, what they don't like about Lincoln Street, what they want to stay on Lincoln Street, whether it's on-street parking, whether they don't want on-street parking, improvements of the sidewalks, maybe to improve the walkability of Lincoln Street. We have sidewalks that are right up to the curb. We've got sidewalks that are narrow. We have some that are uneven. There's just all kinds of issues that we're looking at. But we're also looking at the surface of the road itself. We don't want to continue to do a mill and overlay. That's not a long-term fix. I think what we're trying to look at is concreting the entire section, which will certainly prolong the life of that thoroughfare corridor, if you will, and save us money in the long run. Now, you're talking about years out, but you have to think in those increments. Yet you're thinking about years out of saving money for not having to redo it every 5 years or so.
How much do you think the city will be able to bite off of that project at once? Because that's a big stretch. That's like 18 blocks worth of very heavily traveled street. Do you think it'll have to be approached in maybe 3 phases, couple of phases? Or?
Probably going to be done in phases. I think that is one of the suggestions that JEO, the consulting group, will look at as to what the costs are going to be. That's going to be the next phase, not the next phase. Well, the next phase is going to take the information that everybody inputted on Monday night into the meeting and do another design and say, this is what it would look like based upon your suggestions. After that, then they will come back and maybe give us a final design late May, early part of June, and then they'll go to the next level and give us cost estimates. Those cost estimates are going to be the driver of what we can do, how fast we can do it. Is it going to be in phases? Should we do it all at once? So there's going to be a lot to consider.
Any feedback on the intersections, like, say, for instance, 19th and 19th and Lincoln, or maybe 6th and
19th and Lincoln, the feedback was they do not want a roundabout. And truthfully, I don't know that there is enough room for a roundabout at that location. So that's probably going to be something that isn't going to be on the table. The intersection at 13th and Lincoln is a bit of concern because of the jog and the dip. And then the intersection at 6th and Lincoln, where it's just kind of wonky how they have that designed. And when you're coming from the west, wanting to continue on east, and you've got somebody that is heading west, it's just, it almost looks like you're going to drive into each other.
It's kind of like a face-off there. You're a little bit, either way. You have to, but, and I suppose, I don't know, it all kind of boils down to how much right-of-way do you have? How much room do you have to make changes?
That's going to be another issue, another question. You've got right-of-way that's pretty narrow in some instances. You have a lot of driveways. There are a lot of things that are being taken into consideration, but that's why we hire a consulting firm. They have the experience of doing this, and I'm confident they'll come up with the right plan.
You have another open house coming up Monday, and that one is in the afternoon from 1 to 3, and that's on downtown redevelopment. You've, as a city and Main Street, Beatrice, you've kind of enlisted the help of some master's level students, as I understand, at the UNL to kind of get their feedback and ideas about what they've seen, what might work. Is that all going to be released at that time? Have you gotten any sneak peek of what they've come up with?
I haven't. I'm going to learn as much as everybody else will at the same time. And that meeting is going to be from 1 to 3 on Monday afternoon. It's unfortunate that it's in the middle of the afternoon, but that's when the students are able to get here and make their presentation along with their professors. And that's going to be at the community theater
that's right.
Location. It is a collaboration between the city, Southeast Nebraska Development District, Main Street, University of Nebraska, Lincoln Community, and Regional Master Program. And it is funded by a grant through SEND and also matched with a grant from the city of Beatrice. And, you know, we really want to take an outsider's look at this to challenge the community, to try to seek out new creative solutions for downtown based upon what they've observed, their visits, the information that we gave them, and also from past studies and the responses from the community survey that was sent out. And that's going to be part of their major thought process of what they come up with.
You mentioned past studies. Years ago, there was one of kind of a wide-ranging study of what to do with the downtown. I think it might have been RDG of Omaha, or was some Omaha firm that did it. And that study is still out there. Didn't really gain universal support for one reason or another,
Right.
but were there parts of that you think are still maybe applicable today?
I think there are some that are still viable.
Yeah.
I think there is the notion that maybe we revisit the redirection of Court Street from the West Court Street Bridge all the way to, say, 8th or 9th Street, and redirect that traffic to Market Street. That would provide more pedestrian-friendly atmosphere in our downtown, would allow for easier access of pedestrians, maybe change the parking scheme just a little bit. That's kind of on the radar screen right now. We'll see how that evolves.
See a lot of communities looking at walking districts and being able to go into a bar or a restaurant and take your drink and carry it down the block and things like that. And I know
Right.
that gets into a whole different
thing
too. But still, there's some innovation out there. Some communities are trying that right now.
Well, and it would almost provide the atmosphere of, like you said, an entertainment district. And if you don't have the heavy truck traffic running through our downtown area, which is the core of our community, then you may spur some interest from an economic development standpoint, where you get a boutique shop and any other type of enterprise that may kind of take a look at the community and say, this is a place I think I want to do business, because people are walking up and down the streets.
Might actually improve public safety too.
That wouldn't be a bad thing.
That's for sure. 228-5923. We'll be back to wrap up Ask the Mayor in just a moment. Here on Ask the Mayor, a few minutes left today. We'll roll through several items here. I know you and the council met along with the county board member as BOSWA, as the Beatrice Area Solid Waste Agency Board, on Monday night, just ahead of the council meeting, approving an engineering agreement. Was that on the current landfill, or is that the new landfill project?
It's on the current landfill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is a study on some of the gas that is emitted and some other things that I really, quite frankly, don't understand. But engineers do, and it's processes that landfills go through to make sure that in the event, and that event is going to happen probably within the next 5 years, that we're going to do a closure of the current landfill and move to the area that was purchased some 15 years ago, I think it was, to start up a new couple of cells for refuse.
That's a long process. Where are you at on that as far as the new site?
The permitting process is pretty arduous. It's something that continues on. You have to do permitting through Department of Environmental Quality, and there's test studies that are done. You have to take into consideration any type of water that can accumulate. What's the percolation of the soil? It just goes on and on and on.
Okay. Monday night, also approving an application for a USDA grant through your electric department. This is kind of a partnership with the local hospital here.
It is. It's we through the electric department applied for a grant through the USDA Rural Economic Development Program, and It is a $300,000 grant matched by the city of $60,000. And the grant, if awarded, will be given to they'll pay it back to the hospital for a piece of medical equipment. Is called a mid-dray telemetry monitor. Basically tells you whether your heart's ticking or not. And that, once it's paid off and they have a year to pay it back, then it will be reloaned out to other entities that are interested in startups, any type of enterprise that may need a boost in their cash flow. I think the minimum amount is $10,000.
It'll give you 2 revolving loan funds then locally.
LB 840 is the other loan fund that we have, and it is administered by our CRA committee, and they do a nice job of working with businesses, local businesses in town. We've loaned out numerous dollars over the years to try to assist businesses, and then they repay it back, and as they repay it back, hence you've got the revolving loan fund.
Okay. The audit process report has gone through both Board of Public Works now and City of Beatrice. After having seen it twice now, any red flags in your mind, or things went pretty well?
None whatsoever. We actually heard a synopsis of the annual comprehensive financial report for this last fiscal year, and BKD does our audit. Abby Dobson, along with our finance director Hannah Bell, made the presentation Monday night. We received 3 audit opinions from BKD. They basically indicated that we have a clean or unmodified report, and on the financial statements and the records that they looked at, absolutely found no inconsistencies whatsoever or any material noncompliance. So that is information that obviously the council likes to hear. They don't look at every transaction, but they look at enough transactions to determine whether or not there is any type of a trend. And they've indicated that our safeguards are in place and dual controls are in place so that there is no impropriety.
One thing that from the summary page, or management summary, I guess, on the report, kind of struck me is how healthy sales tax collection is in the city of Beatrice. Now, I know you do have the additional 1 cent that was approved by voters for the fire station project. Half cent. No, that's right.
Right.
But were you surprised at all at how, I mean, we went through a pandemic and, things were, I think there were doom and gloom stories out there about how that's going to affect local revenues and things like that, but you didn't really see that so much.
We've had a couple of months where you may have seen flat compared to the month prior or 12 months prior to that, but for the most part, we've seen increases every month. And that tells you that the economy locally is healthy.
There was an increase in property tax revenue taken in, but how much was that just a product of increase in valuation?
It was an increase in valuation, and we may see more of that.
Yeah. Some new growth, too, though, as far as...
I would say so, obviously. At the industrial park, Zephyr Towers took some land off of the city's hands, and they're going to, as I understand it, employ about 30 people. That's really good news, and this is going to be their national headquarters right here. So it's instances like that and how we can convert some of that industrial park land to industry and business and industry to try to get that onto the tax rolls.
Back on the issue of sales tax, and specifically the half cent for the fire station, I hadn't asked you for some time. How is that going in terms of paying off bond issues there and the amount of money that's coming in? Is it coming in faster than you?
It's coming faster than we thought, and we should be ahead of schedule on the amortization. Can we shave off a year? I'm confident we can. Can we shave off 2? Very possible.
How many years left, do you know?
Well, it was a 10-year bond.
I see.
And so we are probably a year and a half into it.
I see. Okay. One of the projects coming up, when weather allows you to do so, the people notice change at the trailhead, at Chief Standing Bear Trailhead next to the former Dempster property there. Got some work going to be going on there.
There's going to be a parking lot that's going to be put in there, which is going to be a nice addition. There's also kind of a holding pond for some of the additional water runoff that is going to be incorporated in there. Seedings, plantings, it's starting to look, well, it's all staked out right now. It looks like grass is growing, but it's not grass. That hasn't been seeded yet. That's going to be seeded as soon as all of the concrete work is completed.
Yeah, the joke Monday night was, here you had good weather all this time, you were ready to go, and then it rained. And you hadn't had rain for how many months?
That's okay. It's like Eddie Dorn, who was at our Boswa meeting the other day. He says, I'm glad that it's muddy out.
Yep. You need a little mud once in a while. By the way, when that is done, that parking lot, that won't necessarily replace the parking across the way on the other side. You'll
It will
be
not.
able to park there,
You'll
so-
still be able to park both sides.
So it'll just. I kind of wondered about if this was going to be a replacement for that. but
It is
won't
not.
be. Okay. So a lot of people starting to use the trails too as the weather's gotten warmer. So
And you're
it's
going to
just-
see a lot of that simply because of the trail extension. And I know that the present city council and future city council members are still wanting to see the trail still expanded further. So I think that's a good thing for our community and helps livability.
kind of complete the loop around the community.
Correct.
For the most part. Mayor, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Douglas.